Now, this week, of course, we've got Alexei Toliopoulos in to talk about Alien Romulus, Fede Alvarez's latest horror movie. He, of course, did the first Don't Breathe. He, of course, did the Evil Dead remake from 2013.
Not Evil Dead Rise, the other one.
That's right, exactly. Not the one where it's in a building. Both of those I thoroughly enjoyed. We can talk about what you guys think, but we don't have time just right now. On a budget of $80 million, it's going to make about $40 million plus in its US opening, which will make it the second highest debut for an alien film other than Prometheus when you don't adjust for inflation. Prometheus did like $80 million.
All those provisos.
It's good.
But in today's money, that's a
right?
freaking billion buckaroos.
Absolutely.
Right.
Also, this, like Prey, was originally going to be for Hulu. But Disney went, no, we're not really doing that anymore. So,
wow.
Anyways, before Mason tells us what the story was, how does everybody feel about Fede Alvarez as a director?
I think he's great. I think that he is a really good craftsman with horror and great at set pieces. And I think also when you think about the Evil Dead remake, I think he's really good at playing in a pre-established sandbox of what he can do, what kind of showpieces he can take from pre-existing stuff. So when I heard that he was doing Alien Romulus, I would say there was a tingle in my spine somewhere.
And was the tingle maybe diminished slightly because he's making an Alien movie for Disney?
I think the tingle, I forgot the tingle was happening. And I forgot this, I'll be honest, I forgot this movie existed until about 2 weeks ago. Oh, wow, this is coming out.
Yeah.
And then, so I was tingle free and then the tingle reemerged. And then I was like, okay, I'm not thinking about the big old mouse.
All right.
Now, in him working in other sandboxes like in Evil Dead and this, because I'm not entirely sure that all of the things that he brings back from the sandbox should be in the sandbox. And I know, Mason, you have a similar opinion. Without getting into spoilers, we'll do spoilers in a bit. Do you feel similarly, or are you okay with
If I'm
the
detecting
callbacks?
what you're hinting at, I'm a Prometheus lover.
Oh, no.
Is that what you're saying?
No, that's
Okay,
not
yeah.
at all. I all that stuff worked for me.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Opinions on the internet
Yeah.
can be divided any which way at this point. There are people, that people are re-emerging as big fans of Prometheus and Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, and some people are saying that
It's all in here, by the way.
It's all there.
Yeah,
Everything's present.
People are saying everything's in here, and it's revitalizing the franchise. And some people are saying it's a horrible soup. Wow.
There are soup-like qualities to this
Oh,
film.
yeah, you'll see a soup.
Oh, it's soupy.
Yeah. Anyway, Mason, what do you think the story was?
All right. So remember Aliens?
Yeah.
And remember Alien?
Yeah.
It's in between those two.
Yes.
But not in the order you're thinking. Alien, then Alien Romulus,
Yeah.
then Aliens.
Yeah.
So in the middle there,
Yes.
and it's set on a planet. There's a bunch of...
Is it a good planet or
No,
does
it
it
sucks.
suck? Yeah,
it sucks. It's the Aliens universe. Of course it sucks.
Yeah.
It's an awful planet where you never see the sun.
Nah.
Everybody's sad.
Yep.
That
Everybody's
was
a
my
miner.
favorite early detail where they go, planet Kremlinon, and then here are some facts about its population and days of daylight, zero.
Zero.
I was like, they should have had a few more things,
Yeah.
I reckon. Tell you okay, salinity levels of the water, that's what I like. I don't know everything about this world.
Days of Darkness, all.
Or they should have done Days of Daylight 0.5. And there's just one day everybody goes to the beach.
That's it.
Everybody
Beautiful
really treats
bright
himself.
day.
What I thought was fascinating about that world is that it does get sun, just not on the side where everybody's working. So you just kind of live in darkness. Yeah.
Consider a big fan. Move
get a
the
big fan.
clouds aside.
Absolutely.
Anyway, this young lady named Rain.
Yep.
She's sad because she is on the sad planet and her
I thought
parents
they
have
were
died.
saying Ray at first. I'm like, did they just name her after the Star Wars character? No,
I
they
thought
didn't.
Ray Romano. They're like, okay, they're like, we're big Romano heads over here.
Her parents have died, so she's sad.
Yep.
She lives on this planet that sucks, so she's sad.
She's doing mining.
All her friends suck, so she's sad about that as well.
Yeah,
I
they
think.
do.
But she has a best friend and brother in the form of a robot. He's a special boy.
Played by David Johnson.
Very good.
Yeah.
But her friends who suck, they're like, hey, listen, we could get off this planet. All we have to do, there's a little space station. It's floating above us right now. It's coming into range. We get up there. We can steal some bits and pieces from it, and then we can outfit our spaceship. And we can get the heck out off this planet.
We can
We've
get
got
some freezer chambers.
Basically,
Right.
yeah. Now, they were fairly confident there was going to be no alien or aliens or Prometheuses up there.
Because I never even heard of these freaking
Nah, they
things.
didn't know.
I didn't know.
Those are classified
that's right.
items. The little scrubs digging out the coals from strange rocks will not know about this stuff.
That's right.
So you're a Prometheus fan. So you would have been over the moon at certain points in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. Over the moon and all the stars at certain points of this film.
Yeah.
Any Prometheus connective tissue, when I kept on hearing the words Prometheus being said out loud, when I kept seeing the pale white skin being hinted at of their engineers and such, I was absolutely rolling it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not often that maligned films get taken notice of in the public.
We recently rewatched it for a movie commentary. I love the premise of it,
Me
and I
too.
love the cast. I love how it looks. I just think it's kind of written kind of shittily in terms of like the people in it and their actions.
Yes.
Like, and it's kind of something that I want to love it, but it's just like there's just that element of it I can't quite get past, and that carries over into Covenant, which I think I enjoy more.
I've only seen Covenant once, but I kind of bounced off that one a little bit. I think I'm exactly with you with Prometheus, where I'm like, this is the greatest premise. I'm obsessed with that kind of ancient aliens type stuff and origins of man. I think
Chariots of the Gods.
all that shit, Chariots of the Gods, I think is so interesting, especially like if it's connecting it to this is the origin of mankind. And guess what? It's fantastical science fiction. I go, great, thank goodness, I love that stuff. And I think that Prometheus, because of that, I will just love it blindly. Like I just go, I will accept everything that happens in this movie.
I also don't like how they don't really explain the stuff in the movie, what's going on. And then in the interviews, they're like, oh yeah, they're mad because they sent Jesus. And it's like, well, you didn't mention that at all. And look, you don't have to put everything in a movie, but just like an idea of, you know, if there's certain themes and concepts that you wanted to convey, maybe have some of them.
Could the
in your
engineer
movie.
point to a picture of Jesus, for example, above a mantelpiece?
And go, this one's for you, brother.
That's exactly right.
You're my literal brother, actually. We went to school together and everything. That would be cool.
And of course, Prometheus does have the excellent scene where Naomi Rapace performs surgery on herself, which I think is, and I think Fede Alvarez, when he was promoting this, said, "Oh, we're gonna put in something like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna put in something that you are not." And I think the cast as well were like, we couldn't watch this on the monitors because it's too gross. I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Yes,
but
I'm getting I suspect that you guys enjoyed this movie like I did.
I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
And your suspicions are correct on my side as well.
I wouldn't say like Alien and Aliens are obviously, you know, for me and many others are like the high benchmark. I think it's
For others, it's Alien versus Predator Requiem.
Yeah.
We know
By
this.
the way, 20-year anniversary of Alien versus Predator.
Wow.
Came out on August 13th, 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh. You know, that is how...
Feel old yet?
I actually do feel old. Hearing that, I do feel old. That was a core
We didn't get
memory
you in
for
here
me.
to make you feel old, just so you know.
Thank goodness. Okay. Unfortunately, I wander the earth feeling older every day. But that was how I accessed Alien for the first time. I rented Alien from the video store, and I was like, this is pretty boring and not as fun as the movie I watched last night, which was Alien versus Predator. And I thought it was just wicked.
Yeah.
Just
wicked.
wicked.
Sure, having never seen those concepts and then you're exposed to that, it's a lot of cool stuff if you've never seen it before.
Really cool. But, you know, and it's kind of strange. My opinion has changed. Now I do think Alien is better than Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, not everybody thinks that. You might get a bit of pushback, but...
Some people like Alien versus Predator Requiem, where it's Alien versus Predator, but it's in the suburbs, all right? Some people like it, all right? All right, guys?
Yeah, I think for me, it doesn't come all the way together. I think there are some lines, some callbacks, which I think are, some of which we'll talk, a major one, which we'll talk about in spoilers, which is an interesting execution.
That for?
Great
Because I
question.
feel like if you've paid for the ticket
You're in.
and you're in, I don't think you need... Is a group of people going into the theater to be like, yes, that's from Aliens.
Yeah.
That's a line from Aliens.
Oh, that line. I meant like a person that shows up.
Oh, sure,
But yeah,
yeah.
there is that.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
they do the line, get away from her, you bitch. And it's
I think they should have updated it with the C word for modern audiences.
But I think even get away.
You Karen? Get away from her, you Karen.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we're talking about different things that upset us. But with that line, though, I think even the get away from her and then there's a pause, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
You don't really need to take it further. But then, of course, if you watch these like chronologically, Ripley stole it from this movie, you know.
Oh,
so,
she's like, I read the case files.
Yeah.
I know the best way to freak one of those aliens out.
I think all in all, like the aesthetic in this is like of their home world, where it starts is awful in the best kind of way. Like I love the hints towards this universe and how it's just this soul crushing like capitalist nightmare that everybody lives under without like, you don't really need to see too much of it. It is hinted at in the other movies, but I love all of that. I like the aesthetic is clearly a mix of Alien and Aliens, like room to room. It even like you pick up bits and
Just
pieces.
those huge rooms full of like illuminated switches. Like you want to make a phone call, you got to go in the big booth of switches to call mother. You know,
absolutely, yeah. Bringing back all that like retro technology and that, I think that all that's really good. And of course, Fede Alvarez has talked about at length how most of the stuff in this, not all, but it's one part in particular couldn't be, but it's practical. All the aliens are practical. The face huggers are practical. And he said that the hardest part of that is like you have to, like, it's easy enough to build something. Well, it's easy. Anyone can build anything.
Of course.
But then to like make
all
it
takes is time and Legos, That's it.
But then to make it look good on camera is another thing,
Yeah.
Like that's a whole other skill. But I think some of the stuff that they did do really well, which was new, was like the face huggers themselves are a real individual threat. Like a swarm almost of them. I loved those elements.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. The aesthetic is like such a strong point for me. And I think as well, getting into the film, I think that premise access point for me, but I'm also like so like intellectually fascinated by sequels. So I think whenever I go, whoa, I see what they're doing here, I just automatically like something. So I think for me, that access point of going, okay, we want to make a younger cast, almost like a teen horror slasher film vibe. I think the way of accessing that through the world building was just spot on for me, of going, we're following these orphans of capitalism, these people that have been stranded on this world because their parents were forced into like these, celestial coal mines or whatever. I found that to be so spot on and to be just like a great little sense of world building to thrust you in there and to kind of align you with the characters, whether you find them likable or not. I think it works in that way that teen slasher films do, where you kind of like some characters, you kind of hate others, but either way you kind of flop between going like, I can't wait to see this guy get face hugged to death, or I can't wait to see this person triumph. And I think it all sits in that aesthetic world as well, of just going like, okay, we understand the shittiness of their life.
Yeah. I think there is a temptation, and some of it definitely does flow over, that you just make aliens again. I mean, you see it in a lot of the video games. Not all. There's a bit of Alien Isolation in this as well, if anyone's ever played it. And I think the fact that they didn't exclusively go, let's just do fucking aliens again. That's the one people like. It's the action one. And there is that in it. There's bits of it, but it's not exclusively that. Yeah, I like, again, like you said, that it's this young cast. Kaylee Spaney? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Who was in, was she in earlier this year?
Civil War.
Yeah.
And Priscilla. Huge year
Oh,
for this young
yeah.
actor.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, I have also not seen it.
Okay, did you see the other one? The
I
Baz Luhrmann
love
one?
Civil War. Oh, it's for Elvis, yes. And I love that.
And you love Civil War as a concept.
I love Civil War, and I can't wait to see Baz's take on it in any form.
I mean, speaking of the young cast, I mean, I think people are going to unfavorably compare them to previous casts, because we've had, especially in Alien and Aliens, we have an Alien Resurrection and all of them. Honestly,
Of course, Alien 3.
Alien
I
3,
like
like
Alien 3.
all
We
the
talked about it
like
recently, yeah.
just all the various kind of character actor dirtbags we've had over the last several decades.
Yeah.
I have seen people go, oh well, yeah, well they're young and young and cool and beautiful, so I don't care. But I think we've had so long to appreciate the crew of the previous ones, and as you said, Alexei, they're young and orphaned, and
I think also, and I saw an interview with Fede Alvarez where he talked about that original Alien. If you just look at that in isolation, there's not
Requiem. I like a Requiem, sure.
There's not actually, they don't
Colonial Marines.
There's not a lot really to them, and I don't mean like you don't find out a lot about them personally. Like you get an idea, like a sense of them as a person, but you don't know who their families are or what their hopes and dreams are. It's just like, all right, we're doing this. Fuck, okay.
Like there's a moment in this where one of the characters, who I didn't particularly like, I found him annoying and aggressive.
And British?
Ugh, the worst combo. But like there's a moment where they launch the ship and he takes the moment of like the gravity well to like smoke a joint really fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fun. That's kind of, okay, that's a little quirk of his life, and he's just kind of, He
loves drugs.
He loves
Skin
drugs.
Stars Alien.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff.
We should probably do some spoilers, but before we do, I thought, I mean, everybody's saying this, but David Johnson, who plays the new android,
Andy?
Andy,
He
does.
Android, yeah.
It's. I was going to say it almost. It is. He's doing dual roles basically, without getting into spoilers. incredible. I always find the androids like super fascinating, and just not to be like, I don't know, he's like Bishop again or whatever. There's something very unique about most of the androids in each of the movies. Well, which
I think you put your foot in it there.
Yeah,
James.
I know. But like Ash is like Bishop is different than Ash, and
David is different from David.
Exactly, second David,
Yeah.
whose name might not be David. Second David.
Oh, they're all David to me, but I'm robophobic. They're all the same to me.
But I thought he had a really unique twist, like not only as like a performance, but also as a character I quite liked. I guess one of the things I can talk about, which I didn't love, is things grow too fast. Like a thing comes out and then it's grown up, and but that's a minor complaint. Whatever.
You think they should have a little title card 3 weeks later?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I think there are elements to this movie where clearly they've had a meeting and they've gone, okay, people are going to say, how can Kaylee Spaney shoot at an alien with a rifle because she's just a little girl and she wouldn't know how to do that. So they're like, okay, what if there's a device?
Yeah.
What if there's a device you bolt onto the rifle and blah, blah, blah.
Interesting.
So it's interesting they didn't go, the alien eats rats. The alien eats rats and it gets mass and then it gets finds a way to get big. They didn't find a problem. And I think that's because this movie isn't really about, I think they were told not to expand the lore in a real sense. They were like, Prometheus Covenant, there's too much overarching cosmic lore.
Yeah.
You can't do any of that. You can't explain away any of the alien stuff.
Yeah.
You can connect it to previous movies.
They cannot find a crucifix with an engineer on
Exactly.
it. You cannot do that.
I think they're just like, this has to be more or less standalone. We don't need to.
Yeah.
We're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We're just going to make sure that nerds on the internet can't poke holes in.
But we will.
Whether that person can shoot at an
Those
alien.
pokers are coming out. Yeah. But I agree with you. I think that's for me the most part of strength of this film. Going like, here is a lot of accepted lore. What can we speak to and envelop into our world building rather than building it into plot points too much.
Yes.
But I think that's kind of where I land on it in that area.
Yeah.
I would also agree with you. I think that David Johnson performance, it's incredible. I think it's like one of the best sci-fi performances I've seen in a while. And I think it's the most inventive thing this film does with like how it plays with, so like that really, for me, it's like the most tired theme in all of science fiction, which is like, what is it to be human? Because it's in everything, like since freaking Frankenstein, it's always there but then there's a few new films, like I'd say this and After Yang, a sci-fi film.
Loved After Yang.
Loved that movie. And
Really
I think
great.
They're really good at utilizing that thematic and finding a new way to access it. Like in After Yang, it's like not just like what is it to be human. It's like what is it to be Chinese? Like it's so specific the way it's trying to do. Like how does your sense of self as an android relate to ethnicity and culture? I found that fascinating.
And death and
exactly. It's like the mortality aspect of it. And I think here it's like how does it's not just like what is it to be human? It's like how does who you are relate you to the people around you? And I think the way that it did that with about it on like a social level and a sense of self and a sense of purpose, I found it quite fascinating. And through this new prism of seeing this android go through a really quick change and still capture the feelings of both sides of this character, of one being a lower status character to then being switched to high status really immediately. I just thought it was the most exciting thing of this entire film. And this film has aliens flying through space.
That's right.
And I found
They
that.
switched the gravity off.
I know I said, you said After Yang. I was thinking of Mithrigan. I got my androids confused. When you started talking about death and being Chinese, I'm like, no, I'm thinking about the girl who did cartwheels.
She does a little dance. That's right.
Now that's a team up I'm dying to see.
So we give a rating here. We either give best movie ever or worst movie ever before we do spoilers. I'm going to say best movie ever. It also doesn't literally mean best movie ever.
I've listened to this program before.
Okay, you get it.
Yes. I'm not just a friend. I'm a fan.
I'm going to say best movie ever also. I think, it was a very decent standalone. I thought it was, suitably tense. I thought the action was very good. I thought there was some sort of creative ways
gross.
It is gross.
It's grotty,
Slippery and
dude.
gross.
I think it could have been grosser.
Yeah.
It's one of the more yonic films of the Alien franchise, and that's a yonic franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I thought there was some kind of creative action sequences and and it's pretty good. I didn't feel I wasted my time at the movies.
Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course. I'm not time wasted either. I'm also saying best movie ever.
Excellent.
And you can put that on the poster, dude, if you really want to.
I do actually, and I will. So spoilers from here on out.
God, what if somebody just mined our podcast for like DVD covers or whatever? Like every middling movie we've said, yes, I guess it's the best movie ever. They just Sony re-releases all their movies. The best movie ever.
We've never given any of their movies a best movie.
No,
ever.
that's true.
Yeah. So
Alexei, how do your best movie ever? Yes.
Yeah, I'm going best movie ever. I'm locking in best movie ever.
So Ian Holm is back, which I found absolutely fascinating, but I fucking hated it.
So for people who don't know, in Alien 1, the first Alien, he plays Ash, one of the crew who turns out to be an android. We're surprised by that.
Milky fella.
That's right. God, he's so milk in, milk out. You know what I mean? And in this, he plays Rook. Well, there is an android called Rook, half an android.
I thought it was just going to be a little, because you see him kind of slumped over, and I'm like, oh, that looks like Ash.
Yeah.
They're probably just going to, that'll be it.
Yes.
It'll be like a little callback.
But I was forewarned. So somebody
you knew?
I didn't know specifically, but someone on Twitter said this movie has committed the sin of resurrecting a character, and I'm like, okay, well, it's either going to be Ian Holm or Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it would be Yaphet Kotto.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it would be like they just bring him in all CGI. I was like, let's fly out of here, baby.
But it's his character from Live and Let Die.
Yeah, bring in that balloon. It's already made.
Now that's exciting. Yeah, we've got it. We've got the deflated Yaphet Kotto. We brought him back.
Seal the doors.
Yeah.
We've got the Yaphet.
The helium hissed out of it years ago, but he's ready to come back.
So I've just got a bit of information about how they did this, and I think that kind of informs how we've got to talk about this.
First, they prayed to Satan.
Yeah, that's right. And it worked. So his name's Rook. So he's technically a different android, but apparently he has the same consciousness because Mother connects them all. All these androids are connected.
Wow.
So it is Ash, essentially.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
So apparently this is via EW. The whole thing started, this is with Fede Alvarez, calling the estate, the Holm estate, and talking with his widow. She felt that Eden was given the cold shoulder by Hollywood in the last years of his life, that he would have loved to be part of more projects after The Hobbit, but he wasn't. So she was thrilled about the idea of having him back. And look, I think that's great that they did that, obviously. I mean, just because I didn't enjoy the execution of it, I mean, if his family is happy with it, then who am I?
It is the standard here is, did they ask the family? Like that's the only hurdle they have to cross here is, or did they just go, no, we own his likeness. We'll
let's go for it.
Yeah, let's go for it. We own Christopher Reeve's likeness. Let's chuck him in. Why not?
Absolutely, yeah. So as soon as they finished the rough version, the first thing they did was call the family to make sure they were the first ones to see it. It was very emotional.
Hey, check this out.
Look, he's waving. Don't look below his waist. Don't look below his waist.
They lost him not too long ago, and I lost my dad too around the same time, so I could relate to their pain and also the excitement to see him back in the movie. I'm super proud of how we did it and how we worked with them. I can't wait for the fans to lose their minds at seeing one of their favorite faces from the original. I don't understand. I guess I don't entirely have a problem with bringing him back, but I don't know why they didn't do like a busted Bishop puppet like they did for 3.
Yeah.
I think the idea, because apparently they did, Daniel Betts did the voice.
Yeah,
and
so that was what I wondered about. Yeah, but it's not AI.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
It's really good. I thought it was very good AI. That's what, because
that's what I assumed. Yeah.
And the creation of Rook, this is all we know at the moment, is a combination of an animatronic built to resemble Holm and the actor Daniel Betts performing the lines. It's basically a deep fake on a puppet, it seems.
Yeah.
And you can see that.
There's something about the chin that's quite off, you know?
For me, it depended. It was shot to shot. When he first appeared, I'm like, this is not convincing. But towards the end, either I settled into it, or maybe they chose, like, they were like, let's work harder on it for the latest scenes because that's where he needs to really emote or he needs to, they're really interacting with this character the most. So let's try harder at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, thematically it works because some of this movie's about like the depravities of capitalism, and
Absolutely.
I think, okay, there's got some metatextuality going on here.
Right?
Yeah.
But I also, for me, I'm kind of with you guys where I go, was I deeply offended by this? Not quite, but I also I never thought, it had to be this character. It had to be Ian Holm. It had to be that. Like, just get Martin Freeman in and goo him up or something like that. I don't think I don't think it was necessary.
If he's alive, and even if they did all of this without him and he was alive, I would feel differently about it again. But again, I'm not his family, so they were happy for it. Also, you could use any android. There's presumably there's more than 3 of these dudes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. They should have brought an android from a different world in.
Absolutely.
Like Android 18 from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh
They
my
just was a
God.
fully animated character in there. That would be great. Like Roger Rabbit style, we're going in. That would be
Bender
cool.
from Futurama.
Wow.
Whoa, they own them all.
Wow.
Get away from my shiny metal ass, he could have said.
said that.
Bitch.
Now you're reinventing the lines. That's what they need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I got used to it as it went on,
Yeah.
but I
Because he's in it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a. I guess my assumption going in was to be a character that he'd. Or when he was introduced, I assumed it'd be they'd lift his head and it'd be like, "Look out, there's going to be aliens or
Yeah.
whatever," and then he shorts out and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
But no, he's in all of this movie.
Yeah, he's a villain, basically.
I do wish it had been kind of a little bit more creative in the way that they tackled it. Like, if it were, you get one moment where it's that full, like, Grand Moff Tarkin moment. But then if they just go, okay, we're only going to hear his voice from now on, or we're only going to see him on a computer screen. There's something, I don't know, I think just there's a more tasteful way to have done what they had decided to do.
Yeah, I think the version where he's, for a lot of the third act, he's like it's just his face on a screen and like the scan lines kind of, the
Looks
80s
really
scan
good.
lines kind of cover up the flaws in the deep fake. But I mean, if I read an Aliens comic book and it had a version of Ian Holm as Ash in it, I'd be like, that's a fun little nod kind of thing.
Is it the fact that it's a little bit off-putting, which makes it as upsetting as it is?
It might be, because it's the chin. I don't know how else to say it.
I know exactly what you're talking
It's like
about.
not enough bone in it or something.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
was like kind of flopping around a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Anyway, so
We're not built to be grappling with this kind of existentialism,
We're really
We're
not.
not.
we
We said it was the best movie ever. What more do you want?
It's interesting because he comes back in Alien Isolation when he was alive. And he doesn't voice it, but he gave permission to use his likeness. So Ash is in that game. So I don't know, man.
Like Marlon Brando in the Godfather video games.
Exactly.
Very interesting.
And Marlon Brando in Superman Returns.
Like Al Pacino in the Scarface video game. When it
Yes.
turned out he didn't die at the end of Scarface, but he's actually back and he's got to rebuild his empire.
And contractually stopping him from being in the Godfather video game when they had to create a whole new Michael Corleone character.
Did they really?
Yeah, and
Love
he's
that.
handsome.
You saying Al Pacino's not?
Oh, I think he's one of the most beautiful men that have lived. This 3D mock of a new guy. They did a good job.
And also, the Godfather video game got turned into the video game Flashback. Did we talk about this? I think
What?
we did.
Oh, we have before. Yeah.
Have you ever played the video game Flashback?
No? What is
There's
this?
there was a video game back in the 16-bit era called Flashback. It was
Yeah.
like this platform action game.
Yeah.
And it was the future, and it was kind of a little bit Blade Runner, a little bit Running Man, a little
Whoa.
bit all like a combination of stuff. The company that made it started out as a Godfather license.
Was it going to be a side-scrolling shooting game?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
But it was
Godfather Vania. I
Yes.
like it.
So basically, they were like they gave it to this French company called Delphine Software, and they went away and they came back and they said, "Okay, what do you got for us?" And Delphine was like, "Okay, what if it's the Godfather, it's the mafia? What if it's about a guy running from the mafia?" And they went, "It's pretty good." And then they were like, "What if he had no memory, so he didn't know why, so he's got to figure out why he's running from the mafia?"
Whoa.
And they went, "Oh, that's pretty good." And then they went, "What if it was the future and it's in space?" And they went, "You've gone too far." But they already made it, so they were like, "Yeah, we're
Oh, that's fascinating.
Wow. I'm actually blown away by this.
yeah." But then they did make a side scroller and was bad.
Oh, okay, good. That's great. Oh, just quickly on the Ash head, I think it's really interesting that in the original Alien, it's not quite perfect. Like it is this rubber puppet that they kind of got wrong and then they just had to go with it. And this one is also not perfect and upsetting, but it's in completely different eras of technology.
Yeah.
And they both don't quite nail it, but for completely different reasons. I love that.
Maybe I like it now.
Yeah, maybe we all like it.
But at least it's better than Christopher Reeve or that Nicolas Cage
Nicolas
cameo where it's like,
Cage.
I didn't film this. I don't understand what this is.
That looks quite horrifying. That's so I didn't feel as mortified as that, but it's just like, I don't know. But hearing the family liked it, I'm like, well, who am I? I'm some scrub. I can't. My opinion matters less than his.
Hey, man,
children.
don't talk about yourself like that.
Okay, I'm superior to them in every way.
That's right. Also, I bet they got more money for that And he got it his entire,
almost certainly.
Yeah.
Bring him back in the Time Bandits TV show as well. That's what is going to happen next. He's got a whole new second act in his career.
I also think it's fascinating that
Bring him back as his character from Big Night.
Oh yeah,
the restaurateur from the other side of the city. Anyway, he's back.
So it's like an $80 million movie. It's all practical sets and practical, puppetry and aliens and men in suits and whatever. And then they're just like, there's a CGI man in the middle.
Oh,
of
yeah,
it.
we haven't even talked about the man.
That is fascinating. Oh, I meant the Ash character.
Oh, yeah. But we haven't talked about...
We've got to talk about the man that's in this.
So
there's a Prometheus man.
Yeah, so in this movie, Isabella Merced is one of the crew, and she's pregnant, and then Andy the android has been taken over by the corporation, and he's been given a mission. Then it's to acquire this DNA rewriting substance that's on the station.
It's the Prometheus stuff.
It's the Prometheus stuff, and so Isabella Mercer's character gets injured, and then she decides on the way back to the ship, she's going to inject herself with this to see what happens. And
she got a 25% chance of it working.
Yeah,
because we have 25% DNA share with rats.
Yeah, and that's the science. And anyway, she gives birth to a big egg.
Yep,
and
filled with acid.
Yeah, an acid egg, and then it cracks open, and it's a sort of an engineer guy, real gangly engineer man.
And he's an incredible creation.
I agree.
So unsettled by it.
It is very Alien Resurrection. It's a human hybrid, which I didn't love. And people are very divided on this third act, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought what a fucking weird thing to both call back to and then design it. Like it's got the bone white skin and the black eyes and the
weird
smile
grin,
of it. It's just, all of it is just like, I saw it with a mate of mine and he was like, that fucked me up. I didn't like that.
I went to a high school with a guy that looked almost exactly like that.
Oh
also really tall.
Can we get him on this show? Would that be all right?
Yeah. He will do it nude, unfortunately. But I think as well, it's the head was so creepy. It looks like it also looks like the first time we see he who must not be named, Mr. Voldemort.
Yeah, okay,
in the Philosopher's Stone.
You don't say it.
Oh God, well, they're gonna come track us down now. But I found I thought it was just a magnificent creation, and I think when we were talking about the yonic nature of it, the kind of the pulsating vulvaness of this film, I think all of that applied to that character, the spindliness of it, the weird kind of relationship that he has with his birthing mother, in the scant moments you see it. I found it actually disturbing, and I think that is something I've not felt in I did not expect to feel in the sixth Alien movie or whatever. I was pleased by that.
Well, here's the thing, and
Did you see Splice? Just quickly,
I've seen Splice.
It reminded me a lot of that.
It's a very
Splice. It's an Adrian Brody movie. They genetically engineered this
Canadian horror.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
by contrast, even though I like the movie, I'm like, I don't know about this weird third act where it's a spindly guy. Isn't this an alien movie?
Yeah.
Shouldn't he be more of an alien?
Yeah.
I get it. It's a callback to Prometheus.
But I think that's how people are responding to this. I think that's,
Can I tell you what I think it is now? Why I liked it was not just the Prometheus thing of it, was you think about the aliens, the xenomorphs, they're strongly defined by this exoskeleton. And I think having this character, the look of it is, you got a gross Prometheus engineer head on it, but then the body feels like they took the alien exoskeleton and just made it a skeleton with skin covering it.
Over it. Yeah.
I think that's so gross.
And it does have the protrusions on the back where the odd spikes are going to pop out.
Yeah.
I guess that's true, and I guess the idea that it is this chemical is meant to convert people into a form that is more able to survive in space, and that's what the engineers look like, because they're the perfect organism, allegedly.
I also think it's interesting how it played with the lore, but not explicitly, because it's kind of implied that maybe David created the aliens. But if you think back to the original Prometheus, I also find that mural and it's got the aliens on it. So the way I look at it is that
everybody's just riffing.
Exactly.
They're just riffing on the DNA.
He's just doing jazz on the DNA, and he basically rediscovered the alien. So the way I look at this is that the biology of everything is already in that, and that was just him tapping into it. So I think it doesn't. I think if anything, it muddles the kind of the history of this substance and these creatures and how they're all intermingled. And I like that because I don't want a guy made them. Like a guy just a robot. He made them. Like I don't love that.
Oh, we haven't even talked about that. The connection to the original Alien is that the original Alien in the movie Alien didn't
of course,
die.
Yeah.
It lived in the vacuum of space. The one that Ripley blew out the airlock, and it's in this movie. That's just it made it to this space station and started messing people up.
And that's almost the only law that they add to it was like, oh, now we want to take that so we can survive in harsher conditions and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's an Alien comic that's coming out in October. It's called Alien Romulus 1, and that's going to explore that. Because you see that alien in this. And I assumed that it was like probably a different one, but like initially until they say it's not. Yeah. But I didn't even hate that they brought it back. Like I thought, and then they got it. Like they killed it. Like it's.
I mean, it does prove that Ripley is a failure because
it diminishes my favorite character.
That's right.
So it sealed itself in its own kind of bio cocoon, I assume.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great opening, like just coming across the wreck and all of that.
So did that alien lay alien eggs? Because where did the eggs come from in this space?
They said they reverse engineered the DNA. I think Rook said that.
Okay.
But I don't know. I might.
That does make sense when you reverse engineer the DNA. So.
Yeah, I do think like the actual Prometheus, the legend, the myth Prometheus, the way that it incorporates this, I did find that quite interesting. Like, I think like so much of like horror films, it's all about transgression. And it's about like, transgressing further and being punished for it.
Right.
And I think that this continuing the feeling of like Prometheus taking fire from the gods kind of thing and being punished for that. I think the way that they take it from this as, we've got the transgression of our characters, which are they're going to steal something and they're going into a place that they should not have been and they're being punished for that.
Yeah.
But the more thing that is being punished is like it still continues to be humankind being punished for reaching beyond their stars and like what they should have been doing and intermingling like, overtaking God, building stuff out of DNA. I think for these characters, that's a nice tragedy for a teen horror film to be suffering the consequences from transgressions of the human race and capitalism. I think
and not
that's
even
cool.
that is really interesting. You know a lot about movies.
Oh, I watch every movie with my quill and scroll out, taking down my notes.
Spinning acid, that's pretty good. That's a new thing.
Yeah, I thought
that was
I mean, we're gonna
that was awesome.
I thought that was pretty cool. The idea of we can't shoot these aliens because they'll burn through the hull.
Yep.
So what if we did a cool thing? And of course she's got the gun that's got the smart thing on it, because otherwise how could a little girl?
When they came up with that, I go, of course, that's what I would have done.
Definitely,
that's how I would have figured it out.
And thank God there was an egg filled with acid. I'll tell you what.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I really liked in this was it kind of does go back to that Prometheus of the new way to have the chest burster be that operation to take basically a cesarean section.
Yeah.
I think with this one, the little elements where they kind of go, well, what's a new way that we can do that? I think that X-ray torch moment.
Incredible.
Where you see it set up, you go, she picks up an X-ray torch and you go, oh, I can't wait for them to utilize this in this chest burst theme. And then they use it so throwaway. It's like 1 second they use it, you see it, and it's over. I thought that was just such a great way to build it up and then go, it doesn't even matter. You knew we were going to do it. Here it is, and keep going.
I love that as well, like when they just use tech in a movie and then they just throw it away. It doesn't become the whole thing.
Yeah.
I remember there's one moment in, what's Neil Blomkamp's second movie?
Chappie.
No, the one before that. It's got Matt Damon.
Oh, Elysium.
Yeah, there's a moment where they have to like cut a hole in a car and they use this laser cutter and it just blasts a shape in the thing and then they just throw it away and that's it. They don't explain it. And it's like, well, that's a really cool piece of technology. You could probably make a whole movie. Oh, no, never mind. Yeah, love it.
Zachary Levi could be in a whole movie about cutting holes in things. Zachary Levi in the shape-cutting box,
Zachary Levi in the menagerie of pinking shears.
So I want to talk about the future of this franchise. Before we do that, just got some reviews that people have written in, if anybody minds.
Of course, I don't mind. Read away.
Right. It's from RC.
Quills at the ready, boys.
That's right. I
Reviews
respect the
incoming.
listeners.
This is from RC Dominion, who says, just got out of the theatre for Alien Romulus and my heart is still racing. What an incredible third act. Best movie ever.
Please go see a doctor. Please, if your heart has not stopped racing since seeing a movie, you must see a doctor.
Russell Michael says, Alien Romulus.
Also, settle down. It's just a movie.
Yeah,
right?
come on, calm
It's
down,
not even
mate.
real.
Wow, when you walk into a film, you feel the empathy of the character. So I'm on his side, RC.
Russell Michael says, Alien Romulus might be the third best Alien movie, although I have never seen 3 or 4 in totality. Certainly better than the 2 terrible prequels, although Ridley Scott shoehorned a connection. Oh, yeah, Ridley Scott produced this and had a minor hand in this, I believe. Surprise appearance of an actor I did not expect. Best movie ever. Mike Jorlan says, Alien Romulus was enjoyable. I found the last 10 minutes to be the most interesting, so I wish more of the movie had focused on that. Still best movie ever. Nick Flanders Farmer says, just saw Alien Romulus, thought it was really well made. Great cinematography, and I love the cameo from the Parliament Station escalator. Remember that? There was an escalator.
Yeah.
The member berries were a tad unnecessary. Best movie ever. And yeah, that's all of them.
The Alien franchise is sort of shaping up similarly to the Mission Impossible franchise, where everybody's got a different ranking.
Yeah.
And nobody's really wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's stuff to like about all of them. Even Alien vs. Predator.
Yeah. Or the suburbs came alive.
That's right. You better
It's
look
like
at it.
Alien does Disturbia.
I mean, you think the suburbs are pretty quiet, but they've got a dark underbelly. I'll tell you that much.
Whoa.
That's right.
David Lynch has been concocting some thoughts in this guy's head.
Yeah.
So
Did
this,
you see the news about David Lynch? It's very sad.
oh yeah,
He's got emphysema. Oh, he's got emphysema, and he said it's not all bad news. He can still direct.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to do it remotely and blah blah blah. But then I just loved the first part of his post, which just God, I love smoking.
I love smoking. I
Smoking's
don't
so
regret
good.
it. It was great.
So in terms of the future of this franchise, this was more of a kind of a throwaway kind of interview from Deadline. They spoke to Fede Alvarez, who said, maybe it's something, they asked him about Alien versus Predator. He said, maybe it's something I could co-direct with my buddy Dan. So Dan Trachtenberg directed
yeah,
Prey.
Right, yeah.
Maybe we should do like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Dusk Till Dawn. I'll direct half and he'll direct another half. Now that's kind of a throwaway kind of thing. How does everyone feel about that if they merged these two kind of...
Well, firstly, let me correct him. Not from Dusk Till Dawn. It was actually Grindhouse, Planet Terror, and the Death Proof. So sorry, Fede.
I didn't want to say anything.
Called out. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm all for it, but I also don't have like that deep connection to these films where I go, you must uphold the laws. You must you must play by my Bible. I'm like, oh no, muck around. I don't care.
Yeah.
Send the alien back. Get them all together to like, you know, do something on a weird planet like Predators. You know, they go.
I love Predators.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a good
big
movie.
fan, yeah.
Well, Adrian Brody, get him back.
Get him back. I'm really annoyed the way that they left that. They're never going to touch on
Isn't
it.
there a sequel comic book?
Yeah, but it wraps up the same way. It
Okay,
ends
right.
in the same way the movie ends.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's nice. Just go. By the way, here we go again.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be happy for Fede Alvarez to do another one of these and, you know, just see what he wants to do with it, I guess,
Yeah.
you know?
But also, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they could possibly do next. I guess they can just keep doing individual things because I can't.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening the same way where we go, okay, we need to continue Alien with aliens and we need to get Ripley back. I don't see
I'm
Kaylee
not-
Spenny being that, you know, Rain
Yes.
Romano. That's how I have to remember it. I don't see that as like such a necessary connective tissue
Yeah,
for
right.
continuing it. I
Yeah.
think she's excellent in the movie, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sort of such a, you know, downer of a universe. Like you can't really see this is the one where they do a full-on assault on Weyland-Yutani and they take him down for good. It's like not that kind of universe.
No.
It's
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of, you know,
Also, it ends the same way that Alien Covenant does. That ends with Michael Fassbender freezing Catherine Waterston.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you wanted to do callbacks, you could make a direct Prometheus Alien Covenant.
they could have a
Romulus sequel.
maybe
Team up.
Rain and they could have a bingle in space because
Yeah.
they both set off in spaceships.
Oh
they
my
could,
God.
They could meet up by chance in the
Hang on a
fun little
second.
adventure.
Have you got a weird friend that's a droid with you? Hang on a second. We got more in common than we thought.
Yeah. I do kind of want to know what Michael Fassbender is up to in space. Yeah.
And I
am
want to
interested
find
in
about
that.
the origins of man. That's
Yeah.
where,
Cool,
let's go
actually.
back to that.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out. All right, should we move on to the next segment of the show?
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called What We Reading.
Yep.
What We Gonna Read.
Whoa.